is a journey that we embark on without a map or any plan to take us to our destination. However, we are expected to get there perfectly, right on time, and hey, you better do it right. As women, we go through a lot. We go through a lot in our bodies, our mind, and we carry all the emotional burdens of families. Of course, our husbands and fathers do the best to provide for us, and we are so grateful for that. But a lot is expected from a woman in today's society. We're expected to run a race to get to a destination at a certain time, but we have chains around our legs. We're expected to be perfect, and everything that goes wrong with the child, it's our fault. When a child thrives in a society, especially in many African cultures, but I'll be exact, that's Nigeria to be precise. When a child thrives in that society, the father did a very good job in his upbringing, but when that child fails to thrive in the society, well, the mother didn't raise him well. It always falls back on us, right? But I wonder if this kind of blame can be also pointed on the society at large, or maybe on the media. We tend to want to put the blame on somebody else for the things that happen to us, forgetting that it all comes from us. Well, that being said, it is important that all of the children get to that understanding that for you to go forward, you have to be on your lane, because on your lane, there is no traffic. But if you have to follow everybody else's lane, you ain't going nowhere. Someone referred me to the game Star Wars, where the leader became a leader by not listening or taking heed of everything that was around him, following his own passion, going straight to the destination. It's very important for you to understand that we as women are people. We want to be loved, we want to be supported, we want to be listened to, we want to be cared for. Welcome to Inner Compass, a channel that explores the real and raw parts of motherhood. I am your host, Lovetti Laffua. Today's episode is dedicated to the pressure and challenges that mothers face while navigating the societal influences. Now, whether it's social expectations, peer pressure, or the overwhelming presence of social media, we're delving deep today into how to protect, guide, and as well nurture our children in this fast-paced society. Now let's talk about the society at large. It is easy for us to say, just ignore the outside noise, but we all know that in reality, that isn't the case. In today's world, our children face constant exposures to societal expectations. Whether it's living a certain way, act a certain way, or live to the idealized standard of today's beauty. This can be very overwhelming for both mothers and the kids. Firstly, let us think about how much has changed in the last decades, especially in the media area. This places a tremendous amount of stress on our children. Next up, let us talk about the toughest issue that any mother can face. It is something that we hope our kids never have to go through, but sadly, the reality is that many do. Peer pressure plays a very huge role here, especially during the years when the child is growing in the teenage age, trying to establish an identity. How do we therefore prepare our kids to handle this pressure? The key is communication, a non-judgmental, open communication, and it should be very honest. When having conversations with my kids about drugs and alcohol, I like to really remind my kids that no is an answer, and it's really okay to say no to substances, whether it be drug or alcohol. Lest I forget, this also includes any peer pressure that actually encourages them. Movies and TV shows often glamorize the use of drug and drinking as part of fun lifestyle. And this makes it really difficult for children to know how to navigate, making it harder for the kids to see its dangers. As mothers, we need to equip them with the tools that they need to resist this pressure by encouraging them to think critically of whatever they see in movies and online. I totally agree. We cannot control everything. But what we can do is to teach the children to go through these things thoughtfully, before they make any sort of decisions. Speaking of peer pressure, let's take a deep dive into how to make our kids feel very comfortable in themselves. Peer pressure has not got to do with just drugs and alcohol. It is fitting in, doing what everybody has to do to be a part of a group or a pair. As mothers, it is our job to help our kids to build that confidence that they need to walk away, especially from anything that isn't in alignment with their values. Yes. Now there's something I have learned. The more confident that our children are in their individuality, the lesser chance they have to succumb to any sort of peer pressure. We really need to start nurturing self-confidence from a very early stage, helping them to understand that it is really okay to stand out. When I am talking to my kids, I really emphasize on them being true to themselves, as this is a way by which they will attract the people that are in the same alignment with them and people who will also value their friendship for a longer time. This is my favorite part. The reason why this is very important is that many people fail to understand that most of the information that kids get these days is from the media. Now let's talk about the role of the media, movies, and internet, which is actually the primary source of information for our kids these days, especially in a crazy digital world. And while there are a lot of very amazing content out there, we know that not all of this send a very good message. Whether it's violent, unhealthy relationship, or the unrealistic portrayal of life, media can have a very, very huge influence on the way that our children view the world. As mothers, we know that we can't just ban TV and social medias out of their lives. However, we can be very conscious and thoughtful of the movies and the internet content that our kids are exposed to. What I often do is to sit down during movie time so we can really talk about it together. And there I can filter out what I think, hey, this is not really good for my kids at this time. For example, what I do is to make it a point to watch TV and movies with my kids, especially when I am free. And the reason why I do this is because this would make us have the contact, the connection there to discuss about the things that are happening in the movie, the characters that each person is playing, and all the open opportunities to guide my children, giving them a good understanding and opening them to critical thinking skills. I think one way to really go about it is to teach our children to discern what they are seeing, especially things that has to bring different sort of portrayal of their image of who they are and the reality of what life is. So I like sitting with my kids, and I really encourage everybody to do that. Take time to watch. We have 1 hour a week, a weekend to watch movies. Yeah, you could just pick the time that works for you. Okay, keeping our kids out of trouble is a very big one. The potential possibility to want to experience risky behaviors that other people do. So a sort of real imitation, not just cool, but being imitative through their friends and, people that are around them. Firstly, this starts with building a very strong relationship with your child. So when a child knows that they can talk to you about anything, they're less likely to hide things from you or make poor decisions due to fear of punishment. So communication again is a key here. When kids know what's expected of them and when they understand the reason behind the rules, they are then more likely to abide by these rules. In essence, therefore, about responsibility, accountability in small parts of their everyday lives. Unfortunately, one of the more serious challenges that we face as mothers is the risk of our children getting involved in gangs or falling victim of crime. So in some areas, kids seem to be pressured to join the gang as a way of protection and validation or sort of belonging, you know what I mean? This therefore begs the question as to how do we then keep our kids safe? Again, it's about communication, some supervision. Of course, we should have a lot of trust for them, but the kids have to know that we got their back. I hope this is really coming across to every parent that is watching this at this time, every mother, because we are all facing this thing. Yes, I say it again, we're going through it. You're not alone. For instance, you want to stay really involved in their life, the kind of persons that they hang out with. I like to even know their parents' background a little bit. This is not to say that I'm judging them who they are and the kind of person that they are. However, I like to know where the child is coming from and what the child is capable of doing. It's just simple. I'm just a mother and I'm trying to protect my children and I'm trying to put them on the right path. Well, this is what we go through as mothers. Having said all of this, it is very important to empower our kids, okay? They should be able to make decisions on their own. They should know the value of themselves worth and also know the dangers that it comes with being a criminal or involved in any sort of crime. When we do this, what we do is giving them that understanding to know that there is really no need to seek validation in the wrong places. I also like to involve the children in different kind of community services, community programs for children, where they meet other children. I mean, this is quite easier for people who are doing homeschooling. Well, I used to. And so I know it's easier for us to find group of mothers who are working and not doing homeschooling. Makes it a bit difficult for them, but find something that really suits you. As parents, mothers, believe me, we've got a whole lot of cross to carry. If you've got 3, then you've got 3 crosses to carry. And all of this till they are 18. Man, this is really hard work to do, isn't it? And finally, we're coming there. So let's talk about morals. Morals is the backbone of parenting. Yes, morals is the thing that makes us know that we are doing the right thing or not. The kind of values that we add in our children's life is very, very important. Whether it is respect, kindness, honesty, perseverance, or anything of this nature, all of these values, we guide them throughout their entire lives. But the question we be there for, how do we instill them while we still, stay disciplined? It's not a very easy thing to do. It took me a while for me to be able to hold my daughter that you can't watch television program more than an hour a week. It took us months to get to that level. How do we do that? How we get there is by understanding that discipline isn't about punishment. It is teaching and guiding through a certain process. Yes, it is. So setting boundaries in love and compassion gives the kid that understanding that rules are not meant to make their life miserable, but instead it keeps them safe to grow into responsible adults as life goes on, right? We're not going to be there all the time, so we've got to set the pace now. And they need to really start to understand from a very early age that there's consequences to everything. And one more thing I want to add is consistency. Kids should know what to expect. They should also know that there are consequences for every action, so that gives them the sense of responsibility as well. Most importantly, we need to start by modeling the behavior we want to see in them. Kids learn by examples. Kids learn by examples. I can't say that often enough. I see my child doing everything that I did. When she started working, she would wash my leg, look at me, stare at me, and then she start picking the first step, the second steps, like that. So kids learn by doing. Well, so that wraps up today's episode on the influence of the society on the role of motherhood. From drugs to alcohol to the pressure of media, peer influence, and keeping our kids in the right path. The world is full of challenges. I tell you that, sis, it's not easy. The older they get, believe me, it gets even more. But with communication, boundaries, and most importantly, love, we can guide our children to make the best choices that brings out the best of them. So thank you very, very much for joining me today. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. We're all in it together, and we can help each other to become the best mothers that we can be. Until next time, stay positive, stay strong, and keep raising the next generation with love and wisdom. See you next time.